Good evening, everyone. This is the April 13, 2022 meeting of the Auburn Conservation Commission. This open meeting is being operated as a hybrid format under Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022. The public can join the meeting remotely by telephone. The number is 1-408-650-3123 and access code 942-845-549. Or the public can join via computer at www.gotomeeting.com/join/942-845-549. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of the commission are available on the town's website as well, and the public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. My name is Michael Garland. I'm chairman of the Conservation Commission. Permit me to confirm that members of the commission and persons anticipated on the agenda participating remotely are present and can hear me. So members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Tom Fallon.
Present.
Michelle Colross.
Present.
Catherine Nordberg.
Present.
Patrick Cunningham.
Present.
All right, Patrick is joining us remotely. Otherwise, the rest of us are here in the Board of Selectmen meeting room. And also, for town officials and employees participating, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative as well. Building Commissioner Caleb Moody. Present. And Principal Clerk Keith Heselton.
Present.
Okay, thank you. All right, and please.
Megan Langley is also here.
Well, Megan, glad to have you. Sorry if I missed you before. Please note that any vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. And I have to ask before we proceed, is anyone recording this meeting? Please also note that the meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television and can be viewed at a later date. And if there are applicants who are participating remotely, I will ask you to state your name and address as if you were attending in person. So, having gone through the preliminaries, the first matter on our agenda is a 7 p.m. public hearing. Jeffrey Jazz, a notice of intent to construct an addition at 5 Willis Street in Auburn. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, it's a vote. Mr. Jazz. Yes. Good evening, sir. Why don't you come on up and present your plan, please? Oh, okay. Please.
You want to see my blueprint?
Well, just if you would, just summarize the plan. I know that you had presented a plan to us before,
Yes.
and this is a revised plan, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so tell us what you want to do at your property.
Well, what I want to do is add a small addition. I have downsized to 3 rooms.
Okay,
I have made it specifically clear with the civil engineer that I was working with, getting a 25-foot build zone.
right.
We have done that. I have this copy here. You all have one.
We do. Thank you, sir.
And so I'm starting from scratch again and hoping to get through it this time correctly and meet the needs that the board desires.
Okay. So when would you want to break ground on this?
Well, I'd like to get the foundation in the summer or fall, before the ground freezes again.
Okay.
That's the plan at this point in time.
And will that be a full 6-foot foundation?
No, it's going to be a 4-foot frost wall,
Okay.
and it shows that on the plan.
Right. Okay. And when do you hope to complete your addition?
Well, I'm hoping to get it done by the end of the year. That's what I'm hoping for, but, materials are hard to get this day and age. Help's hard to find. Excuse me.
Sure.
But I'm going to give it, I'm retired now, so I have the time, get a helper, and I'm, with 3 rooms, it's 13.7 by 28, so shouldn't be too much. It's 4-pitch roof, so it should go pretty quick.
So you intend to do most of the work yourself?
Yes, I've been a carpenter and a construction superintendent.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. Sir, I've reviewed the plan. Everything appears to be in order, as you indicated. You did keep it out of the 25-foot no-build zone, which is important to us, as
I
you
think I got it
know.
right this time, hopefully.
And so I have no other questions for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Tom, anything?
No, I concur with the chair. I like the plan. Because of the sensitive area and all the building that's going on, I think you more than aptly followed what we requested.
Yes.
And I think this is a great plan and.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
It only took 3 times.
Well, you know what they say about the third time being the charm, right? Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the audience?
Hey, Mike, this is Allison. Sorry I'm late.
Well, hello, Allison.
There's a really strong echo happening.
Well, I can't control that because we need to speak. But do you have any questions concerning the proposed addition of 5 Willow Street?
No, I do not.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us. So if there is no comment from the public and no other questions from the board, is there a motion to close?
Make a motion, we close this public hearing?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I,
Okay, it's a vote. Mr. Jazz, hopefully we will be able to work on the order conditions for this evening, so you'll be hearing from us probably fairly shortly.
Well, thank you for your time. Thank you. And I apologize for the inconvenience, my previous 2 trips here.
No
And
worries.
struggling to get it right, but I finally got there, and thank you for your help.
How are we doing? All right, have a good evening.
You too.
The next item on our agenda is the 7:05 public hearing. Donald Miller, a notice of intent to replace an existing failing cesspool with a new leach field at 401 Leicester Street. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I,
All right, it's a vote. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
And who are you?
I am Seth LaJoy, LaJoy Associates. I designed the plan.
Okay, Mr. Legere.
So what we have at 401 Leicester Street is a sewage disposal system upgrade. There's an existing failing cesspool in the front yard. What we're doing is we are replacing that existing failing cesspool with a pipe and stone leach field to the side of the house. Okay?
Right.
There is 0 options as far as getting out of the buffer zone on this particular property. It's right on the river. So we're trying to keep it as far away from everything as possible. Darlene has reviewed this, and her only comment was that we didn't supply the design flows for an additional bedroom because it's a 4-bedroom house and Auburn likes to have the number of bedrooms plus 1. I spoke to her today and I said, look, is this something that we can just ask for a waiver for because it's from your local regulations? She said, absolutely, and they do that all the time. So we are,
Okay, we're gonna need that in writing from you.
I fully understand. And I also want to let you know that we've got plenty of time because this doesn't even have a notice of intent number yet from the DEP.
Right, we did note that.
So,
So we actually went out to the property on Saturday and, had a chance to really eyeball it. So if the leach field's gonna be to the left of the house as you're looking at it from Leicester Street, where would the tank be?
it's going to be in the front yard, where the existing cesspool is now because all the plumbing is going in.
Okay. So in relation, as you know, when you go to the property, there's a dirt area. It looks like someone actually maybe have parked a car there.
That's where the leach field is going to be.
Okay.
That's where it's gonna go.
Yep.
And
And
will
it's going to go right in. It's in, and everything is rated for vehicular traffic, but it's going to be loamed and seeded, and hopefully no one will park on it. Anyway.
Right, well, yeah, because there's a driveway on the other side,
Correct.
so, okay.
Yep.
And when would you want to start the work?
I mean, realistically, we would like to start it as soon as we get to the DEP number and we can close out this hearing. you
Right,
know.
understood.
So I would say that we'll probably end up doing this work in June.
Okay.
thereabouts.
All right. So, given the fact that we don't have a DP number yet, and you need to send us the request for the waiver in writing, are you agreeable to continuing the public hearing 2 weeks to April 27th?
I am so agreeable.
That's what we'd like to hear. So, in that case, is there a motion to continue the public hearing to April 27th?
I make a motion, we continue this public hearing to April 27th. What do we have open for a time slot?
Where's Keith? And he's not here.
7 or 7? At 7 PM.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, it's a vote.
Very good.
So thank you, sir. And as I said, just if you would submit that request for waiver to Mr. Heselton, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Okay, so you want me to submit it to both Darlene and to you as well?
Please.
No problem, I can do that.
All right.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your time
Thank
this
you,
evening.
The next matter on our agenda is the continued public hearing, EBT Environmental Consultants, Inc., a notice of intent to construct a single-family home with associated utilities, driveway, and site grading at 54 Prospect Street. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
All right, it's a vote. Mr. Kravosky, good evening, sir.
Will that be on the screen?
I don't know.
Thank you.
There we go.
But you're gonna have to be on the microphone. I'm coming over to the microphone right now.
There we go.
Actually, you got one right there.
I'm going to use
I appreciate it, thank you. So yes, thank you, Conservation Commission. This has been in front of you for a while because there's always bad excuses for everything. And we originally went with the McClure Engineering delineation that was only 2 years old because the clients had cleared the lot so there was no vegetation on it. And so because we figured the commission did look at it within the last 2 years, we had Jarvis put the flags back out. He did SOP is his explanation. He tied the flags to pieces of grass on the ground or some dang thing. And I questioned how that could be because we have other surveyors that actually use stakes. And that being said, eventually we had the Amherst agent, that consultant that you have on the board, if she's still here, question did I look at the soils? So because there was no vegetation left, and we didn't want to drag it on any longer, we did extensive soil investigation at the site. You'll see it on the plan. You can find it in the field, in the wetland line, because we couldn't go by vegetation. It was all gone.
Right.
We moved, according to soils, we moved the line up. And that's what's reflective on the plan. We didn't ask that we have a site inspection with the commission because I would have augured into all the holes and showed you the non-hydric and the hydric soils. And then we might have had an agreement. If the commission has not seen it, we would ask for a site inspection if need be, and we probably need one. We would continue for 2 more weeks to look at that line. We did show a planting detail, restoration of both the wetland and the density, 7 feet, and then normally in the upland forested area, we plant with a 10-foot spacing, but we could always go tighter. And we gave you the species and the density. Quinn Engineering did the plan with us. And there's the hard copy. You see that we're above, still out of that 25. If we open up the old plan, you'll see that it was quite a bit. Probably, I don't know, I would say I moved it up approximately 20 feet at minimum. And now we go to the back. Still giving them some lawn around the house. That was a question to the clients. Originally, Quinn had shown it, I'm sorry, a little bit tighter to the house, but this gives them some lawn as you're facing the house, the front to the right, and some lawn to the rear. And that's the house.
Okay. I mean, we had gone out there a couple of times, but obviously the revised plan shows it in different conditions than what we thought existed there before.
Sure, sure.
So it probably does make sense for us to go back out there again. We have 2 weeks before our next meeting. I don't know what people's schedules are like for this Saturday. But we can figure out what a good time would be. If not this Saturday, then the following Saturday.
Yes, sir.
So, all right.
You have my phone number, the cell, and I want to go out there again. I'll
Sure.
log into soils, show you what hydric and non-hydric boundaries.
All right. So in that case, is there a motion to continue the public hearing for 54 Prospect Street to April 27th at 7:05 PM?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? There being none. all those-
Yes, I just,
Hello, Megan.
Megan?
yeah, just a quick question.
Go ahead.
When you said that it was moved 25 feet up, is that being closer to the wetland?
Do you want me to answer that,
Yeah,
sir?
please. Go ahead.
The plan is a north-south arrow on it in the upper left corner. The wetland that was delineated by McClure's people, it was northward or down gradient. We moved the wetland line southward, up gradient. So there's more wetland on the lot now, according to my plan compared to the McClure plan.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I actually have a question too.
Go ahead, Allison.
Is there fill being brought in? I see the existing grade and then proposed dark grade.
If I could, there's some minor grading to the right-hand side of the lot. Only the amount needed to take out for the foundation is the minimum. As we can see, there is a change of contour from 740, I'm just trying to see, 740, 750. Just around the house, it was brought up, 748. You're looking at a rise of approximately 3 feet to get to the house, so that there is, it's just picked up out of any water table. This is sewer and water. But yes, there's a minor grading to rise up to the house. In fact, if I could say, to the north side of the house, it would be the same, about 3 feet into the back of the house. It is 750 we're showing, and we can see that 750 is going across 748. So generally 2 feet in the back of the house is a rise. I would call it very minimal rise.
But it's not being brought in, it's just being graded.
Well, if there is fill being brought in, it's a minimum amount. That's all I was trying to get at.
Okay.
Of the driveway itself.
I can't quite see what you're saying. So is that happening in the upland area?
Can you repeat your question, Allison?
Is it happening in the upland?
Is the fill happening in the upland area?
Oh, yes, there's no fill in the wetland. We're just going to remove
Okay.
the wood chips and then plant the upland and wetland back with upland species in the wetland. It's laid out on the plan, and then wetland species in the wetland. The standard native species of this area, winterberry in the wetland, high bush blueberry, common winterberry, red maple, and then oak and pine, as I recall, in the upland. They're listed.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any questions from the audience? If there are none, I think we had a motion to close, and I think there was a second.
Continue.
To continue. Yes, thank you.
Sorry.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right. And it's a vote. So we will see you, Ms. Grabowski, in 2 weeks, and we will contact you about a site visit.
Yes, sir, thank you.
All right, thank you.
A nice meeting in New England.
Good, fantastic. The next item on our agenda is request for termination of applicability filed by Magda Rodriguez and Miguel Torres to place a hot tub at their home at 23 Boy Street in Auburn. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
All right, it's a vote. Would you be Ms. Rodriguez, Mr. Torres? Why don't you come on up? Hello. So we have your plan. And again, we understand that you're putting your hot tub 29 feet away from the Intermittent Stream, which is good because we do not allow building within 25 feet of any wetland or stream. I mean, it's a very detailed plan. It looks like it's a very nice hot tub. Nice daughter. I wish I had a daughter like that. I really have no questions. I think, you know, the work that you've described is well set forth. You're not going to excavate for this, are you?
No.
Okay, all right. And I would imagine the time to construct is probably, what, a day?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any questions?
No, that looks great.
This is Allison.
Hi, Allison.
I would just say that you should have the 25-foot marked in some way.
Okay,
But otherwise, I appreciate you coming to the site. I mean, coming to us with this. Some people don't.
so I think what Ms. Holmes is saying is that if you could mark 25 feet, I think we want to make sure that there's no possibility that the hot tub gets built within 25 feet of the stream. So if you could just put a stake or something or mark it, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be precise, but just take a tape measure from the stream, the bank of the stream, excuse me, run it 25 feet and make sure you build beyond that, you should be fine.
Okay.
Okay? Does that sound good, Allison?
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the public? All right, there being none, is there a motion to close?
Make a motion, we close the public hearing?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, it's a vote. We will hopefully vote on your request this evening, and you'll be hearing from us soon. All right, thank you.
Okay.
So, sir, what are you here for? Aha. Okay, why don't you come on up? Oh, you are?
Oh.
Okay. Well, you can still come
Come on
up.
in, come on up.
So anyway, we went up there on Saturday, and I know there was a meeting with the owner on Monday. And we have pictures, I took pictures, and there's no question that the driveway going up the hill is seriously eroded and undermined. Also, the runoff is just not hitting the catch basin in Leicester Street. It's going every way around the catch basin except into it. And I know, and there are the pictures. And so my understanding is that there was a meeting with the building inspector on Monday. There was discussion, and I actually spoke to Gary Monday afterwards. And I was advised that the owner is going to take steps to reduce the runoff. Basically, I think what needs to happen is that that driveway needs to be paved. And they also need to take steps to make sure that any runoff goes into the catch basin and doesn't trickle down the gullies in Leicester Street. And this has been on our radar for a while. But my sense is that the meeting was a constructive meeting on Monday. I was not present, but we had made our concerns well known to the representative for Golitis Energy at the last meeting. We told them basically, you have to take care of this. The siltation measures have to be reestablished, and I think they are starting. I think they've done that. We had issues regarding there were tires, there was debris in the Welland area that they removed. But if you would, sir, if you could identify yourself by your name and your address.
My name's Tom Shannon. I live at 460 Leicester Street,
Okay.
and I abut a major portion of the whole solar farm.
Are you across the street?
I'm on both sides, I own both sides.
Oh, you do, okay. So what have you observed lately from that project?
From the clear cutting of the hill,
Mhm.
it's changed where the runoff is coming off the hill.
All right, in what direction though? Is it down the driveway or another direction?
Well, onto my property,
Okay.
it's in the woods.
All right, right, okay, we saw that, actually.
Did you good, the retention pond, the first retention pond? It's bleeding out to the, when you're walking down to the retention pond, right at the beginning of it on the right side, not the hill coming down, on the side of the retention pond, there's a red,
Adjacent to the bridge? Sorry, no, which one are you talking about, sir?
so you go into the fenced-in area,
Uh-huh.
then there's a right to going down to the retention pond, that's the first retention pond.
Okay.
And I abut that, and then there's another retention pond in the back, and I abut that. So the runoff, originally, the plan was the outflow from the retention pond was gonna be basically when you're going down to the retention pond, when you first get to it on the right side, there was like, water would come down, that not run all the time, but that's where the first outflow was, but at some point it was changed during the
Construction.
whole plan. Like I went to all the meetings originally, and then during the COVID thing, it was changed where the outflow is coming down on the far side of that retention pond. So where it comes out of the retention, well, there's a lot of flow coming out from the lower part of the wall of the retention pond is supposed to be made out of clay and stuff, and it's not supposed to hold the water in it. There's water coming out of it, basically running out of it all the time.
Okay,
And there's a red color to the
that might
runoff.
be, that might be iron oxide, but, so you're, if I hear you correctly, you're telling us that whatever was constructed at the property differs from what was actually shown on the plans and
Originally, it was changed at
Close to
some
us.
point. I'm sure it was on the plan, current plan, but the original plan was coming out one area, now it's coming out another area.
And do you think that was intentional, or you think it's because of a failure of the construction? If you know. We're trying to determine,
No, I'm sure it was designed and approved and peer reviewed and all that.
but, before we issue certificates of compliance, we ask for as-built plans. And so if the owner or the builder made a change from the design that we approved, then it's not something, they have to, if they propose an amendment to their plan for whatever reason, because of site conditions or whatever, they're supposed to come before us and tell us that they're going to amend their plan, because it can potentially affect, as you indicated, abutters. So I'm just trying to get a sense of whether this is because of site conditions, the detention area has failed and needs to be reestablished, or whether they actually made a change in the plan that we did not approve, causing your issue. So how does it impact your property? Obviously, you're getting more water on your property, correct?
Correct.
How substantial is it?
It's running in areas where it didn't run before.
Okay,
It's basically a wooded area, so it's running, currently it's just running into the woods. At some point, I hope to develop the area.
okay.
But one of my concerns is like the red runoff, and you say that's iron.
Well, I know
It's substantially, I just want to test it to make sure it's not running into the swamp area or the wetland, and then all our wells, we have wells on the street there.
We noted in the upper detention pond adjacent to the bridge, we noted some reddish hue to the water. And Allison, we took a site walk out there, I don't know, last year maybe. Do you recall the time we went there and you noted, I think, that there was a reddish hue to the runoff, and I thought you attributed that to iron oxide, is that right? Or did I make it up?
Yeah, so there's an iron bacteria that can form stagnant water, which is likely what we were observing in that area. But in general, when the sediment is still loose and is still, it can sort of make everything look brown and rough. So, but I do want to say, I didn't get a chance to share this with Commission, but when I went there with Tom, I saw not only water going straight into the culvert, but like extensive amounts of sediment. And sediment is technically a pollutant to any, water body. And it doesn't have to be contaminated. It in and of itself is a pollutant and it damages the system. And it's against the Wetland Protection Act. And frankly, I thought it was pretty appalling that they didn't have some sort of inlet protection on this catch basin because it's directly discharged to the stream. You can see sediment buildup underneath the culvert. You can see it. I could see it at the time in the water of the stream. I tried to take a bunch of pictures, but some of them didn't work. So anyway, I think some serious measures need to be taken. They should have been inspecting this kind of thing the whole time, so.
I agree, and I think, again, I concur with your assessment that siltation or sediment is a pollutant. I don't think there's any dispute about that. You didn't take any pictures, did you?
I don't have my phone.
I did, I think I should have.
I'm talking to the gentleman. I know you did, Allison. I think you posted them, and so we did have those.
Because
They're right
the
here.
runoff from the road goes down the hill.
Right.
And then crosses underneath the road and over to my other side of the property over there.
So you're
And there's
getting
a
it
lot
on
of
both, you're
sediment
getting it on
right
both
there.
ends, basically. With your permission, because we did go out there, and I'd like to go back out there again. I'd like to be able to, if you could show us specifically what's happening.
Saturday would be good if you could do it
I
Saturday.
can do Saturday.
I can do Saturday. I'd like to speak also regarding, I've been to your site, to that site twice.
Yeah.
I went with Allison when we had a very strong rainstorm.
Yeah.
And I have a 2-minute video on my phone. It's kind of a pain to pull it up, but it was a raging river. And like she said, I concur with her. It was a lot of fines. There was a lot of brown water that was completely going, not even going near that drain and going right down.
Been under.
But you talked about on the road or
On the road at the bottom. Now, when we walked the site last Saturday, we walked on the outside of the fence down to where you're talking for that first detention pond. And what I noticed is on the other side, there was like a pool
Right.
of water that shouldn't be there. And it looked like a river, like it had been mostly dried up, but I could see that thing full of water flowing down through the woods. And
That's
it most
what I'm
likely
talking
was
about.
not there before, without a doubt. You can see that it's fairly new. It's got scouring. So like Mr. Garland said, the chairman, I'd like to go there with your permission and you on the site and really get a good look at it because there's
You ever wanna
an
go-
awful lot of water going down there and it needs to be remediated because for many reasons. As you being a property owner and as well as all the wetlands down there, it's just, all of that stuff's coming down and it's gonna make a mess and it's gonna create more problems.
So we did issue an enforcement order in this.
Can I jump in here? This is Nick Fassandola, representative for Agilitas.
Sir, we'll get to you in 1 second, okay? We're still having a discussion with the abutter.
Okay, but we can provide some context of what's been going on too.
All right, we'll get to you in 1 minute, sir.
Okay, I appreciate that.
All right, so would 9 o'clock on Saturday be good? All right, so
Where do you want to meet?
where would you suggest? Can we come to your front door?
Sure.
Okay, we'll come to the front door.
Actually, probably easier just to come
Or do you
past
want-
my door. There's a chain on the lot, just there's parking, you just drive right in,
All right, then that's what we'll
like
do.
past my house.
Okay, very good.
Before the solar farm, the driving area.
All right, and Mr. Fassandola, can you just identify yourself for the record, please?
Sure, Nick Fassandola, Level Design Group, the project engineer and engineer record. With me on the call is also Tom Godowski from Agilitas Energy.
Okay,
So there's a few items I guess you'd like us to address. I guess we can start with the runoff from the driveway.
go ahead.
So overall, that driveway has not been modified from its pre-existing condition. There's essentially some trees that were cut on the left-hand side to clear a small area. No major grading activity occurred. That area of the driveway that goes up to the crest, where the existing tubular gate is located, was previously paved. And since that time, that pavement has recently eroded along the left-hand edge,
Right.
likely due to an excessive amount of groundwater breaking out of the existing soil. The majority of that flow is not coming from the construction site. It's essentially water running out of the hill and is groundwater. And that groundwater also is coming up further up Leicester as we continue into Leicester.
Can I ask you one question, sir? How could it be groundwater when it's going up grade up a hill? Like, you know, like you're going in an elevation, you're going up. So you're going to tell me the groundwater's coming out of that road when it's, I mean, I don't know. I don't have a topographical map, but it just doesn't make sense to me that you would have groundwater that high up on the road coming down, and then it's coming from the ground. That makes no sense to me. If you could enlighten me.
Well, it's coming from the left hand of the site, which is a higher elevation than the driveway. So we did meet with the building official and Joanna, the town engineer, to discuss improvements to Leicester Street to accommodate that flow that's coming off the hill and running down Leicester Street. So we will be installing a new catch basin within the flow line of the street. We're going to be working with DPW on that.
Now, where would you put in the catch basin, though? Would you put it at the bottom of the slope, or are you talking about an intermediate catch basin on the driveway?
It'd be at the driveway apron where it intersects with Leicester Street.
Because there's already a catch basin there, and when we were out on Saturday, the water went everywhere except into the catch basin, and so it looked like there was a problem where the road had been undermined due to erosion, and any flow coming down the driveway was not making it into the catch basin, and that's why it was being channeled down Leicester Street.
No, that's not the case. That's not the interpretation of the town engineer also.
All right.
From our site meetings we've had.
I
We don't believe there's any undermining of the roadway. The catch basin is just high.
It is high.
So that's what's been agreed to by everybody.
Okay.
So instead of completely removing and rebuilding that basin, we're installing a new basin and connecting that drain line. So essentially no water is going to be collected by that basin. So we're going to be installing a new basin at proper elevation within the gutter line to collect runoff coming down the roadway
So,
and also down the driveway.
so just so I'm clear on this, you're telling me you're going to replace the existing catch basin with a new one?
That's what was discussed at our site meeting earlier this week.
Okay, all right. And you heard,
We're also looking at installing a swale along the left-hand side of the driveway to collect flow that's coming out of the hill before it hits the driveway. And we tie in a surface drain to the new catch basin so that water does not hit the driveway and then run down the road. So the goal is to collect everything before it gets to the roadway.
now, were you present when Mr. Shannon discussed the water that's going onto his property?
I was not present for that.
Okay, so apparently there is a problem. Mr. Shannon owns property at 460 Leicester Street, and he is getting, it appears that the detention basin adjacent to his property is not holding the water, and it's resulting in water flowing onto his property. So I know that when we had our initial discussion I think with the other gentleman, with Mr. Godomsky a couple weeks ago, we didn't address that issue, but apparently that is an issue for the abutter.
Yes, in that area, there is a detention basin, and there has always been an approved discharge, which runs in that direction. I can coordinate with the butter and Mr. Godowski, and maybe have a site walk with the two of them, and maybe get my eyes on the issue. But there is water that was approved to be discharged in that direction. There is a BBW where all the flow from that hill eventually hits and then connects to the stream where the bridge crosses. So all that is one large connected
Well,
along that area.
we're going to be making a site walk on Saturday, this coming Saturday at 9 o'clock, if you want to join us.
I will coordinate with the developer. I think I can make it, but I will coordinate with him as my client. I have no problem attending, so we can work that out.
Okay.
Now, the other item was this public water. I believe the other item was the orange water.
I think it was described as reddish in color. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, so what that is, I was on site with, and that appears to be, I believe it's like iron, what they call iron flocculation. So you have in the natural soil and groundwater, and they're reacting with some type of natural bacteria that create what looks to be that orange color, and it almost has has a cloudy hue. There's definitely no sediment running into those areas. That cloudy hue is the minerals flocculating and clumping together and giving that appearance. We did walk that section and observe that occurrence in many. I could provide some additional information on that natural phenomenon to the butter if you'd like to have additional information on that. Well, we don't believe it's not a pollutant.
I think, why don't we take a look on Saturday if you're able to make it, and then if we need additional information, we'll ask you for it.
Sounds good.
All right. So I think, because we're still, obviously this, we have other things to do. I think we'll.
Can I ask one more question, Commissioner?
Sure, just 1 second, all right? So, what we'll do is we'll continue, Mr. Fasendola, we'll continue this matter to our next meeting on April 27th, okay? Allison, what's your question?
I just have any measures been taken to control sediment going into those catch basins?
The answer is there were efforts taken. I think there was
Bales, there's.
I mean, it looks different from the time you went out there. There are sedimentation socks that were installed. Actually, I did take pictures, and I think they're available on the site, right, Keith?
Yep.
So you can you can actually go to our website, and you can see the pictures that I took. So I think things have been done there since you were out there the last time. Okay, you're welcome. So Mr. Fasendola, we'll, hopefully you can make it, or Mr. Godomsky can make it on Saturday at 9 o'clock. And we're meeting actually at Mr. Shannon's house at 460 Leicester Street, okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll see you then. I'm going to take some things out of order, not that they're really in any order. So on Saturday, we actually went to the diversion flood control system. Thank you, sir. Which has been affectionately called the toilet bowl. And we checked out the work there. When we went out there, I don't know, was that 2020? We went out there, there was a lot of vegetation, that's all been removed. And it appears that the work that was proposed by, I think primarily the city of Worcester, has been completed. And they have required, requested a certificate of compliance based on our view of, or my view of that collection device. It looks like they have done the work they were required to do.
Through the chair.
Sure, please.
Keith, could you scroll that back 2 slides, please? He's got a detail of that, the bowl itself, as we call it.
Yeah.
And that's showing where the repairs were made. Remember how they were grouting certain
Yes.
areas of it? And some of it looked like it wasn't like water was coming in under. So I think what we're looking at is basically the work that they proposed and that they completed. But
Correct.
it's just interesting because you can see the water flow. Like we noticed how water was coming out between. And it's showing it in detail on the plan, which is good, so.
Exactly. So it appears the repairs they needed to make have been made. So, is there a motion?
I make a motion that we issue the certificate of compliance.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, it's a vote.
Aye.
It's a vote. There were some items here that I thought we had actually addressed. So I thought we had talked about issuing a certificate of compliance for 23 Brook Street. I know we went out to Whitman Bailey Road, or I'm sorry, Whitman Bailey Drive, and we had checked it out actually a few meetings ago, and it appears to comply with
This
the
one
order.
here through the chair? This
Yes.
one here is actually the entire site. What we looked at is 1 and 3, but I think we concurred that we've been out to that site many times.
Yes.
And that was the last part of the project and everything else looked pretty stable.
Right.
So we felt that we didn't need to rewalk the whole site.
Correct. So that being the case, is there a motion?
I make a motion that we issue the certificate of compliance for Whitman Bailey Drive, the entire project.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 It's a vote. Okay. And then Burnett Street.
One more time through the chair. I believe Brook Street was the one where the homeowner had that house and we were waiting for them to come in and finish the movement and seating.
Yes, that's
So we were
right.
going to wait on that one. It was Burnett Street that you're
Thank-
talking about that we said, yep, it looked good.
Yes, you're absolutely
They
right.
just had to remove 2 landscape and green containers there that Patrick pointed out, I remember.
You're right. So you're exactly right. So we'll continue 23 Brook Street generally. For 68 Burnett Street, is there a motion?
Make a motion, we issue a certificate of compliance for 68 Burnett Street.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 It's a vote.
Aye.
Okay. I haven't been back out to 190 Washington Street. I think it makes sense to do that, and we have time before our next meeting. So perhaps we can do that on Saturday.
Sure.
Or before, maybe the Saturday before the next meeting on the 27th. So the next item is Mr. DeFutis, and I know he's participating remotely. So, Mr. DeFutis, we did get your plan. It appears that you also with measurements that were requested. I will say this, sir, the plan, what was built at your property was not what you submitted to us originally. I also know in speaking to Mr. Woods at the Water District that, and in fact, it's shown on the plan with the X on the wall, that there is, you did encroach on the Water District property. Not substantially, but there was an encroachment. It's not our issue, sir. What I'm struggling with is the fact that, what you built there was not what you submitted to us. And I'm having difficulty in accepting the changes that you made to the plan. I don't understand why. And to be honest with you, sir, I think what was built there was substantially deviated from what you submitted to us. So I'm still troubled by that. I don't know, frankly, how I feel about approving this plan. I'm not inclined to approve it because, again, it deviated substantially from what was submitted to us. I believe other members of the commission would like to be heard on this, so those are my comments at this time. But I will invite comment from other members of the commission. Tom, you wanna go
Yeah,
next?
Mr. DeFutis, looking at these plans here, there was a little bit of confusion. I think I clarified it either at the last meeting or a while back. When we did go out for that site visit, I had a picture of what you originally proposed, and you had some markups, like I use that on my phone as well. We put in some dimensions on the bottom, and because the image was on my phone, I wasn't able to see them. Because when we looked there and walked around, we just said, okay, it was well-built, but I concur with the chair. Upon further review and looking at the plans, what you originally submitted and what is built now is substantially deviated from the original plan. And I also have problems approving the plan because it does differentiate so much from the original. And I can say that given that the Auburn Water District owns Stoneville Reservoir, that's a matter between you and them as far as what a possible means of addressing the encroachment on the pond. But I'll go on record and say I'm not comfortable with the changes that were made on the plan either, because they're very substantial from what was originally proposed.
Is there any other comment from the board? So, Mr. DeFutis, I'm sorry, Patrick, you want to say something?
Yeah, Mike, it's Pat. I just wanted to say that the great issue with the distances from the water line itself. We're here as a commission to enforce that buffer zone. And the deviations of the plan encroach further on that buffer zone. Just to give you some context as to what we're referring to when we say that the plan deviated and it caused some issues on our end. The rounded piece of the wall that came within 10 feet of the water, even closer, was concerning to every member on the board.
Okay. I'm sorry, Patrick, anything further?
Nope, that is all.
Okay. Allison, any comment?
My general feeling is that we approved it with the pictures to begin with, so it's sort of hard to sign them now.
Okay. Megan, any comment?
I guess it's just more of a question. I don't have the original plan in front of me at the moment, so I just refresh my memory. Were there significant deviations with respect to the like driveway ramp?
Are you talking about the ramp going down to the water line?
Yeah.
So, Mr. DeFutis, can you address that question, please?
I can, and no, there are no deviations from the ramp. It's going to stop. We did receive a cease and desist, so I wasn't able to put in the dam of the riprap that we showed in original plans. As soon as I am allowed to, we will put that in. The dam and there's riprap on all sides of it, will not be on the water department property. Went through the water commission meeting this morning. They were happy with what was there and said the 6-inch encroachment, because it is literally a 6-inch triangle. It's not even a square foot encroachment. There's a 6-inch on the very peak of the front face of the wall. They used this morning a wallet to show size. So it's literally a 6-inch triangle that's encroachment. They had no problems with it and said they will have
29 feet.
no actions or require no actions taken.
So I will say one thing that really does sort of jump out. The distances that are shown in the plan submitted do not comply with what was built there. in terms of the distance from the water line to the edge of the outermost wall. In addition, if you look at the plan that you submitted, you actually had built the wall or called for the wall to be built behind the tree. Instead, you actually.
No, sir, let me correct you on that.
Sir, I'm not done yet. I'm looking at the plan that you submitted to us, and I don't know if you're looking at a copy of it or not, but it shows a tree, and it shows the wall going behind the tree. And what was built, the wall, the bump out, the circular, the rounded portion actually incorporates that tree trunk. And that is, I think, a pretty obvious change from what you proposed.
Okay, so if you look at that drawing, the first wall is in front of the tree. That was going to be rock wall. That first wall was rock. We eliminated that first wall by creating two because we could not make the stairs. That was my error. But when I went to go make the stairs, you couldn't make enough stairs to land. And it would have been a dangerous situation for people to walk tier to tier. We wouldn't have had enough in between.
No, Mr. DeFitis, I get that, but I think I've been pretty clear about this. If you submitted a plan to us, we had a couple hearings on it, we approved it, and then you made changes to the plan and you didn't tell us that you were going to make changes to the plan. And whenever, if you're going to change the circumstances, we were required to get notice so that we could then evaluate what you were planning to do. But you didn't do that, sir. And that's why this is kind of dragged on all this time. I mean, we're really not trying to give you a hard time here, sir, but there's a right way to do these things, and it wasn't done the right way.
I do agree, and I apologize for that. I thought that the building inspector was notification to the city. That was my bad. I do apologize for the changes not being brought to conservation. When we had this dug up last fall, I received a lot of rain, and I was afraid of the whole hill collapsing down. We were flying trying to get the wall built, not to get away with anything. As the building inspector was there for multiple inspections, I thought that was the town hall, knowing he's 2 doors down from the conservation.
Well,
I didn't know. I honestly didn't know at the time. I found that out. And none of the measurements to the lake have changed. So I want you to look at the new drawing. If you look at where it shows the rock from the stamped engineer drawing from the survey by the front of the rock in front of my block wall, those rocks were the old wall. So you gained that 5'10" at its weakest point there. We created that buffer zone. Before, that was the wall. That was a fallen down wall in the lake. On original plans, it shows that on the right. And right now, in giant lettering, it says where existing wall was and water's edge will now be, I wanted a 10-foot buffer. I was only able to get a 5-foot. So that wall was shown there. I did not encroach closer to the lake except where I had to because of that tree. If you see on the original prints, it just shows a wall, not a block wall, in front of that tree. So what we did is close to original plans as possible. Honest to God, this was not a malicious intent. This was try to get the best we could with what we had. There was no trying to get away with it. I've been very honest and very true with you guys, bringing everything up, taking as many measurements, pictures, inviting everybody up to the land. I've never tried to get away with it, and I haven't taken from that original plan. All the walls follow the original measurements to that first wall. So at no point did I get close to the lake except for the expected gaining of the buffer zone. I was only able to gain 5'10" where I wanted to get 10. I was hoping, but we hit roots. That's why that first roundabout wall is where it is.
Again, you didn't. It's a substantial deviation from what you submitted to us, and you didn't notify us. All right, sir. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this under advisement, and I guess you'll hear from us. So I do appreciate submitting the detailed plan. I think it gives us a better idea of what the actual site conditions are, and you'll be hearing from us, okay?
I do have a quick question.
I'm sorry, Catherine, go ahead, please.
Do we have any sort of official statement from the water district pertaining to this project?
No,
I feel like that might be helpful.
I think you're probably right. So I can contact Mr. Woods and ask him if he can provide us with something. I don't know if,
I was
Mr. DeFutis, what were you going to say?
I was at that meeting and they told me today that they were going to notify you guys, the Concom. They have no issues and no action to be taken. And I was at that meeting this morning.
I understand. I think what Ms. Norberg is referring to is maybe minutes of that meeting or something more official. So I'll contact Mr. Woods and see if we can get something more official. Okay?
Okay?
All right, thank you, sir. Well, you'll be hearing from us. And then finally, the last item for other business is 426 Leicester Street. What was pointed out was actually while we were going to the solar farm, there was trash, and I took some pictures that shows it. And it was next to an abandoned house, which I learned from Mr. Heselton is actually 426 Leicester Street. I don't know what happened to the 4. But in any event, I went on, because the internet is a wonderful thing, and because the records at the Worcester Registry of Deeds are online, I was able to look up the property, or look up 426 Leicester Street, and learned that Deutsche Bank sold the property there was a previous foreclosure, and there was a foreclosure deed to a Hung Than Vong of 394 Massasoit Road in Worcester back in actually December 28th of last year. So Mr. Vong is the owner of the property, and that trash pile abuts the stream. That's right. It's right. The stream is to the right of. Yeah, there it is. It actually is on the other side. And so I think my suggestion would be, and I understand, I saw there was actually a dumpster out there. I think the plan is that he's going to redo the house, but I didn't see any activity there over the weekend. My suggestion or thought was that we send Mr. Vong an enforcement order just telling him that he's got to take care of that trash pile because it is adjacent to that brook, and it's just it's nasty to look at, and it's got. I think there might have been a fire in that building, and so there are things in there that trash needs to be taken out. So, is there a motion?
Yeah, through the chair, I'd just like to speak.
Sure.
We also, Caleb, do you know, did the Board of Health go out and take a look at that at all? There's an awful lot of debris over there. Okay. Right. He wasn't doing anything. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
enforcement
we
order,
will,
absolutely.
and at least that way he'll know that we're paying attention to it. Okay, so is there a motion?
I make a motion that we issue an enforcement order to the property owner and notify him that he needs to clean up the debris near the river and near the wetland, and just also, you know, as he conducts any future demolition work and anything there, that he needs to be aware that.
Well, he's going to have to file with us.
Yeah, so he needs to file with us.
How much time do you want to give him? You want to give him 30 days?
30 days, I think is fair.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right.
Aye.
All right, it's a vote, very good. I don't want to, I'm torn on what to do with 10 Rotary Road. I mean, the cliche is that ignorance of the law is no excuse, and it's absolutely true. And, I mean, I think, again, looking at what he submitted and what was built, there's substantial deviation. And so I think we have to fashion a remedy here. And I am open for your thoughts on what the appropriate remedy should be. One thought is that he tears the pump out. He actually takes that down and he builds the wall the way it was supposed to be built originally. The other possibility is that he resubmit a notice of intent to us or request an amendment to the notice of intent with the new plan. That's just, those are my thoughts about it at this time.
And that's, once we consider through the chair, once we consider that the Auburn Water District has signed off on it, is okay with everything that he's done as far as?
I did speak to Mr. Woods, and he, I mean, look, reasonable minds can differ. I think, my sense is that I think there were certain promises made by Mr. DeFuse, including the installation of riprap to stabilize the bank. And I think based on that representation, they were going to be satisfied or basically waive the fact that he encroached on their property. That's their business. I'm not sure I would have agreed to that, but it's not my issue.
So that's a pretty steep banking.
It's 45 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That riprap is gonna be gone, what, 2 years?
don't know.
It's gonna run down the hill like
Like
the other place that we talked about earlier.
And all of that silt is gonna pour in that lake. I'm having a problem with this, but I'm having a bigger problem with this.
The ramp.
So what would the solution be? Pave it?
Yeah,
Okay,
he can have it, but he has to pave it.
okay. Allison, any thoughts?
What are we suggesting he pave?
It's not supposed to be a boat ramp, but I think we all believe it is a boat ramp.
It is a boat
And
ramp. You can call it anything you want, it's a boat ramp.
It consists, basically, there's riprap there, it's not paved, and I think the belief is that because it's such at a steep angle, that it's gonna eventually erode, and it's gonna direct, runoff right into the lake. And so, Michelle's suggestion is that we order him to pave it instead of using the riprap, which is not a bad idea.
I mean,
I think we don't want to increase impervious area right next to the pond like that.
There's that too.
You know,
Lesser of two evils.
and pavement can erode as well.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think as long as it's stabilized.
I don't think the riprap is gonna stabilize it enough.
I concur with Michelle, it's steep, it's
too steep.
It's too steep.
No. Although I know that you can
He's
change
gonna
the
be putting a
grade.
boat in and out.
Right. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
do want
golf
for a
cart.
golf cart.
What's the scale in this?
Let me see what he submitted here.
On
20 scale.
this
Is it showing
plan,
it on there?
on this plan, it
No.
doesn't say.
No,
I'd
see-
say it's at least 15 feet wide.
Minimum.
Yeah,
And another thing we can talk about is the plan that is submitted right there. It needs to be noted that Mr. DeFutis did a markup on it, is what it's called. So basically, he
This
filled in
is
the
2 feet.
dimensions, which is fine,
it should be done by the engineer.
to show what it's done. But when you have a scale plan, am I right? As far as usually when a scale plan submitted, it's the PE that gives you all the measurements and everything else, and not the applicant. Even though he's just kind of doing it as a reference point, it's still not, in my eyes, a solid reference.
No, I
point.
agree with you. I think you're right. We don't have to accept this plan with the dimensions unless, because the P didn't do it.
But I absolutely agree with Michelle that I think having that be impervious is better than having it the way it is as far as runoff goes.
Okay.
You're still gonna have water going into
Down by
there,
the
but,
water, it's 15 feet.
yeah.
But there's other ways to do things. There's other engineering practices that, aren't as simple as paving it.
Well, what do you suggest? We want to avoid, creating a flow into the pond.
But we approved this plan. It was a picture, it was a photograph with some numbers on it.
Right.
We didn't think there was going to be a gravel driveway there.
This is picture level, it doesn't show.
I just don't know how much we can go back on what we already,
That looks like it's,
he didn't really
25,
encroach
30
on anyone's property,
45.
even though we thought he did it.
Well,
And it looks like it's stair.
Kind of brought him through the ringer.
I understand, Allison. Mr. Moody. I
agree.
I think that's actually an excellent idea. So
I couldn't really hear him. Do you mind repeating?
what Mr. Moody suggested is that we have Mr. DeFutis actually file either a new NOI or an amendment to the existing NOI and have his representative appear instead of Mr. DeFutis appear to explain how the plan complies with, our bylaws and regulations and the Wells Protection Act.
Good idea.
Yeah.
I just have a comment. Sorry.
Okay.
I just have a comment. We should have a list of things that we take issue with instead of broadly saying that he is deviated from the plan. There's dimensions that are off. I know the gravel driveway is now of concern, but if it isn't deviating from the plan, then we can't take too much issue with it.
Correct.
There are actions that we request from him, but in the end, we did approve it. So the things that he did not comply with is, really at the heart of the issue.
Correct. Okay. So why don't we do this? Why don't we use our collective brain power, which is substantial, and come up with our issues or concerns with what has been done at the property, and then we can address this at our next meeting on April 27th. How's that sound?
Outstanding.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but okay, all right.
Just
let's
one
do
more
that.
thing, just kind of
Sure.
side note, not really an issue, but I think it's worth noting that he was aware that he was deviating from his plans and he admitted that to us.
Yes, he
and he did not inform us at that point in time.
Oh, exactly.
So I think that we can go back on our word a little bit too.
Worth noting that he admittedly said that he was deviating from his plans and did not inform us.
I wasn't here.
Understood. Okay. Is there any other business?
Yes, we need to issue a notice of intent for the first applicant this year.
Yes, we do. That's right.
I have a question, actually. Does anybody know if that burned RV is still a mess?
What
Is
burned?
that close to the other site that you were talking about on Leicester Street?
I didn't see a burned RV on Leicester Street on Saturday, so maybe it was removed.
Tom must know what I'm talking
That's
about.
the one we're talking about. Yeah, that's the one you're talking about.
Oh, that is the same site?
Yep. Okay. So when was it removed? Do we know? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not there anymore, Allison.
Okay, but it was the same property that you were talking about earlier?
It is. Yes, it is. So, thank
Even
you.
better. Thank you.
Oh, for Mr. Jazz, so we can issue, okay.
Okay.
All right, so, and that'll be within the 21 days, so we cannot issue the order of conditions. All right, if there is no other business.
There is.
I do have a quick question.
You always have a quick question, they're not quick. Go ahead, continue.
I know, I'm sorry, I've been trying to answer the question quick and I get getting scooped.
Sorry.
Anyway, I just wanted to know if we could just for the record identify what the date was where we got the last version of the 10 Rotary Road plan. I just want to make sure that I look at the right plan to identify what we agreed to.
Well, the plan we got this plan when, Keys?
The plan that we have is now, that came out today and was
Today.
revised, yeah.
Yeah, revised.
Okay, so there,
Sorry, I think the one that we approved because there were a few that were submitted, and I want to make sure we're looking at the right one.
oh boy, you're talking about, I think you have it actually.
I have, it's a picture, actually, it's not a plan, it's a,
Not a plan.
nope, it's not. It's
Right.
a-
Well, yeah, he's planning
It's a picture marked up with red arrows and dimensions is what,
I think it's this one right here.
All right, hold on. Yep, there it is, right there.
That was the.
Yep, that's
way-
actually before. This
That's
is
the way it
after.
looked.
Yep.
And then he submitted his CAD
Yeah,
plan.
there's no driveway there.
No,
No, there isn't.
now, looking at this picture, I'd like to just go on record and say one thing. The picture I'm looking at
You
here that he
can't see it
submitted
though, you guys.
says completed project in horizontal measurement is what he gave us here, and this is not the completed project in horizontal measurements, if you look at this picture. So
Correct.
This is not
No, it's not.
representative of what,
That's exactly right.
yep.
So could someone send that out on email or let me know the date so I can pull it up electronically?
Yeah. Yeah, it's available online. We'll just have to find the original hearing date, but I think it had to have been,
Before the 12th, because I have a note on the bottom, it says continue to 1/12/22, so this was likely the end of December.
it was probably, it was either November or December of,
September, October, or something like that.
it was,
Okay, I think that it might be from 8/25. I am looking at a different measure from 8/25, but I just want to make sure that is the last one that we received.
was it submitted that long ago?
Probably, yeah.
It could be, it could very well
The
be.
original, definitely. That's the plan that's up there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
okay, we'll go with that.
8/25?
I think so.
Yeah.
If you're finding it there, then that's when he filed, that's when we had the original hearing.
Okay,
Okay,
all right, thank you.
you're welcome. Is there anything else?
Yes,
Okay.
would like to make a motion to issue a negative determination of applicability for 23 Boyd Street in Auburn. The applicant proposes to put a new hot tub in 29 feet from the stream, and they agreed to put a stake marker where the 25-foot no-build zone is from the street.
Perfect. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Bye-bye.
All right, it's a vote. Dare I ask? Is there any other new business?
I make a motion, we adjourn this public hearing.
I second that.
Is there, wait, we have to vote. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, no one's ever said no. It's a vote. All right, everyone, thank you very much for your participation. We are going to go to 460 Leicester Street this Saturday at 9. You are welcome to join us. And if not, enjoy your weekend.
That's the solar farm, right?
Correct.
Yes.